We got, the first one we're gonna do is dyna ball slam. So we do 2 variations of dyna ball slam, straight leg and bent leg. Okay. So you see straight leg. So like John had straight leg today. So straight leg, all it is you're gonna go ahead and come over here for me. You're gonna go arms straight, and I wanna make sure they get their arms overhead. So a lot of people finish here, and I usually have to tell them, hey, I want you to get your hands over your ears, even though if your arms are not straight. So like I have really tight shoulders. This is my arms as straight as I can over my head. But I can start with arms straight here. I just wanna get more power from here. From here, I'm gonna go up on your toes, down, up, down, up, down. So that's arms, or sorry, that's legs straight. And then the second variation would be, once that they feel comfortable with this motion and they're producing enough power, I want to now have them go into a half squat, right? So I'm going to go up. The only thing that matters, I'm going to drive up with my calves. I'm going to then start bending at my hips and knees. I'm going to follow through with my hands, right? Up, down, slam, right, on a bent knee. So I want you to try a straight leg first. Exactly, and you're always gonna make them, this one thing I forgot to cue on, you're gonna land right in front of your feet. What's up, Taylor?
What's up, Taylor?
Hi. Exactly. So if they land, try to land even closer to your feet. There you go. It's gonna be a lot easier to catch or land closer to your feet. You see how it throws back to you? You don't have to try that hard. So now you're gonna go up, and you're gonna bend your knees as you're going down, using your whole power to get it, and try to make a hole through that floor. There you go, good. A lot of times when you have somebody that has so much power you don't know about, make sure you tell them, hey, just make sure you watch for your head. It might bounce back to your head. That way they know, like catch it over here instead of like catching it down here, right? Feel comfortable with that? So it's just kind of like, it's really hard for people to recreate the movement when it don't come from power. That's what we try to do. What we try to say in the straight leg version is like slam it as hard as you can so it bounces back up to your chest so you don't have to bend down to grab it. And then when they do that, when you're coming down hard, I want you to grab it and then come back up to a straight line. A lot of people like to grab it and then just hinge instead because they're not producing that much power. No, I want you to squat down to grab it. Okay? Nice. Okay, so now let's grab a med ball and we're gonna do the same thing, slam to the floor. So what's the difference between a dyna and a med ball?
Med ball ain't gonna come back up.
It doesn't come back up, right? Exactly. So it stays stuck to the ground. So it's a lot harder exercise, right? So
we always say it's like a blowfish.
It's like yeah, exactly. It is, for sure. So all I tell them is, hey, this thing's not gonna bounce back to you. So I wanna make sure you throw as hard as you can, but every time we're gonna get down, we're gonna squat down to get it. We don't wanna hinge down to get it, right? So I'm gonna squat down first, I'm gonna pick it up, I'm gonna curl it to my chest, I'm gonna extend it over my head, and then from here, I'm gonna go up on my calves, and then use my legs to slam it. Okay, I'm gonna squat down again, pick it up, squat down, curl, press, and up. Squat down, curl, press, and up. People have a really hard time. I always tell them, slam that ball between your legs, because they're gonna most likely slam it in front of them. And I want you, what do you think the case is that they're slamming in front of them? Like what are they now not focusing on?
Like power.
Not only that, but what finishes the movement?
The core.
The wrist. The fingers and the wrist, right? Yeah. So a lot of times it's just trying to tell them to flick the wrist at the end. Right, so if I tell them, flick your wrist at the end, it's gonna be right there. Gotcha. If they're not flicking the wrist and they're just following through, right, that's me not following through my wrist. It's just finishing that way, all right? Let's try a couple of those for me. I want you to curl it to you. Yep. Because as you get, the weight's pretty light right now, but as the weight gets heavier, you're gonna have to curl it instead of just like straight front raise it. Good, exactly. All right, now coach me through it.
All right. So with it being a med ball, it's not going to come back and smack you in the face. You don't have to worry about that. So slam it as hard as you can. Don't worry about getting smacked in the face. When we go to pick this med ball up, we're gonna squat down to pick it up. We're gonna come up to a standing position. We're gonna curl it up, press it over top. We're gonna use our legs and our entire body to put this ball into the ground. So when we go down, we use our legs, body, core, and fingertips to get this into the ground. How to look is you're gonna go down, straight down, squat, curl, press, slam.
All right, so I want you to describe the movement going down a little bit differently now. I want you to put more emphasis in what each body part's gonna do.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So when we're at the top, we're going to come down with the legs.
What does that mean, come down with the legs?
Go into a squat, tighten that core, slam with your shoulders and your fingertips to where your fingertips are going to press it into the ground.
Good.
Not throwing it out.
That's more descriptive, right? That's going to help somebody else more. The other thing you can do is I want you, as you're going down, to push your butt behind you.
Gotcha.
Right? That's going to make him go into a squat and a hinge pattern a little bit more, right? Yeah, no, that's good. So that's what I'm saying about, like, you have to have multiple ways of describing something, right? Not just one. Make sure you have descriptions of everything.
Gotcha.
You gotta be able to cue people differently. And if somebody's not getting something, it doesn't mean that saying it the same way over and over again is gonna help them. So that's why I want you to start thinking about different ways of saying something, right? And if you don't know, that's fine. I don't know a lot of ways of saying more than one thing on an exercise. I just have to figure out how to do it as I go through it, right? Good. So med ball slams to the floor. A lot of times, we have clients that, oh shit, what the hell, dude? There's more. Damn it. I gotta clean it up. God damn it. A lot of times we have clients that can't stand and balance. Let's say and a lot of times can't do a dyna slam standing. So what we would do sitting. So we do it in a box sitting.
You just don't use power on the legs.
We don't use power on the legs, so that's exactly right. A lot of times, since we kind of like expect this to be an upper body exercise, I just want her to get power in general, right? So go ahead and give me that ball. So what I have to do for this is we can do it in a ball, we can do it on a bench or in a box, whatever it is. We just have to have our legs wider. So legs wide, I'm gonna have you go up all the way. You're gonna use your arms to start the movement. Your chest is gonna come down to the ground and you're gonna slam, right? The heavier you make this ball, the harder it's gonna be for people. And then I can do the same thing for the med ball. Except for somebody that has low back pain, this might be a little bit harder because they have to really hinge down to get it, right?
So if they're doing these, if you can most likely pick it up for them.
I would most likely pick it up for them. Depends, yeah. Or I just switch it to a dyna.
Gotcha.
But if the case is that I do want them to use their back, because this is also like a Superman, right? So I'm using a Superman. So it is a hinge pattern. It's just a weighted hinge pattern. It's like a good morning, right?
So you're saying if they can't squat at all?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if they can't balance at all.
Okay. So why don't you have them pick it up, put it on the bench, and then grab it from the side of the bench?
And to do a standing one?
No, to do a seated one. So start off the exercise by picking it up, putting it on the bench, then sitting down on the bench, which is right here.
But then that's one rep. So you're going to tell them to do that every rep?
Yeah.
That's a lot. You know what I mean? That's a lot. For one rep, it's fine. But if you're going to do it for 10 reps, that's going to take 10 minutes to finish, right? Okay. So you're going to be, so that's what I'm saying is like, the only reason you would switch that to this, let's say if it's not a sign and you wanted to switch it, is if they're losing their balance. Somebody has vertigo. Hey, I don't feel comfortable today standing. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know what? We're gonna sit on the bench today, so we have the bench already out. I'm gonna have you do the slams on the seated down. I'm still getting power from my upper body. I just don't have to worry about balancing anymore, right? So yeah, so this one you're gonna go up, down, slam. You're gonna have to hinge down to pick it up, curl it overhead, down, hinge down to pick it up, curl it overhead, down. There's no problem with hinging like that. You are adding stress to the back by doing that. It's obvious. We're gonna do it. Your goal is, what do you think your goal is when they're doing that exercise and you know that it's affecting the lower back? What are you asking? You feeling your lower back?
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. And if they say no, keep doing it. Gotcha. Right? If they say yes, okay, is it a strain or is it just like working? I'll keep doing it. Especially if they have a history of no lower back pain. If they have a history of lower back pain, I'll definitely make more emphasis on like, is it a strain or pain? Or a strain or just working. Like, no, I think it's just working. We can keep doing this. They usually tell me, right? If that's the case, though, I start feeling a strain. It's like, you know what? Let's just keep doing it, but let's reduce it from 10 to like 8 or 6.
Gotcha. That's
what I might do. So I'm decreasing it. So I'm playing around with the variables, right? I'm playing around with the load. I'm playing around with how high. I'm playing around with the bodies moving. I'm playing around with the repetitions. So there's a lot of variability here and different things. That's why in the beginning we taught you like the 6 or 8 different variables that we could use in an exercise and how to make it harder and easier. It's not one end all be all. There's multiple factors. I can change the exercise, I can change the reps, I can change the weight, I can change if I'm sitting or standing, I can change so many different things, right? I can change the ball from a dynamic to a flat one, right? There's so many different things that go into it. You don't have to change the exercise.
I guess that's another question. If you use a 10, would you 10 on Dynaball?
Good question. It feels a little bit different. I would normally let's say in the case of like you assign a 10-pound med ball slam sitting down, and you want to go to a dyna to bounce it back. That's what you're saying? Yeah, I mean, I would do 10. That's fine. And if not, just bring it down to 6. It just depends on the situation.
It would be like a 10, and then you go into like a 14 or something, or 12 or something.
I wouldn't unless they did the 10 and it's like, oh, that's a little too easy. Let's just do the 14.
Gotcha.
I would start at a 10.
Start at 10.
Yeah, I would start at 6 or 10. It just depends. Like if it's just they're worn out, if it's their lower back, I'll do a 6 instead of a 10. Like now my lower back hurts. I'm like, all right, you know what? Let's just keep it shoulders only. So we're gonna 6. If it's just they'd rather do a dyna for no reason except for just doing a dyna, I'll bring the 10 out. I won't even bring the 6 out.
Makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? It just depends on the reason for it. It's always a reason for everything, right? Okay, so we got seated med ball that slams dyna. Then we're gonna go right into ball chest toss, right? Yeah. So we're gonna do that with the dyna most of the time. We can do 2 versions, squat and staggered, right? So for the squat, we're staying listed this morning, right? We're staying knees bent, hips bent. We did that yesterday also. You're gonna keep that ball in your chest, and we're always trying to make sure that we finish here. A lot of people wanna go like this, right? I wanna start with my chest and finish through my chest, right? Flicking the wrist at the end helps a lot for people. They're reminding them of that. Bringing the ball to the chest helps a lot instead of starting here and finishing here. They don't have as much power from here as you do from here, right? To extend those arms fully.
Yeah, there's these today as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other version would be, I think the squat version is harder than the stack stance. Yeah. Stack stance would be easier.
More balance.
Yep, exactly. Way more balance. One leg forward, one leg back. What I want to, and Taylor described that very well yesterday when she was describing the exercise, is what I want to do is I want to feel like I'm pushing through that wall and then finish with most of my weight in the front leg. So it's going to look like, right, most of my weight is in that front leg. I am pulling a little bit back to get momentum and go forward. Yeah. I don't care if they use momentum. I want them to learn how to slam that thing hard. Mm-hmm. Whatever needs to happen for them to do it, right? So go ahead and show me a squat stance and a stack stance and coach me through it.
All right. So with the squat stance, chest press, we're going to squat down into a good squat position. We're going to start with the ball next tucked into our chest. We're going to press and flick with our fingers whenever we let go. To have a look is, you can see I was too close to the wall. So there, I know that I need to step back a little bit. Still in that squat position, chest level, pressing. Coming all the way back, pressing again. Coming all the way back, pressing again.
Mm-hmm. When would you need to step forward more? When you see what?
If it's hitting and then
they're not catching it, right?
Back.
Yep, exactly. Let me think. Yeah, I mean, that's good. Releasing through the wrist, you said. Yeah, good. All right, go show me a stack stance and coach me.
So with the stack stance, most of your pressure is going to be into that front leg. So more like 80%, 20% when it comes to a stack stance. You're going to press just like you would in a squat. From chest all the way to wall, and then back using those fingertips at the end. If you need to use momentum, that is completely okay. But you're going to press straight like you're going through that wall.
Put more pressure into that front leg, going forward. All right. Now I want you to think about when you're doing it again, now take the back leg completely off as you're pushing forward. Start with a loaded back leg.
Yep.
And then as you're pushing through into your front leg, take your leg off. Like you're throwing a baseball. There you go. Exactly, right? So that's a more powerful stance. So obviously there's progressions within a progression, right? So our normal one would be here, and somebody like Paul, I'm gonna tell Paul, because I know Paul is more advanced, I'm gonna tell Paul, all right, Paul, so now that you know how to do this really good, I want you to try this variation. I'm just want you to, when you're about to hit it, you're gonna start with legs on, weight on both legs, and when you finish, I want you to have all the weight in just your front leg, right? Right? Like you're gonna fall through every time. And you're gonna take a step back again, right? It's gonna increase the amount of pressure, adding an amount of power, right? So now we're starting to get into another sequence, which would be a walk into a press, right? Right, so I'm starting that one. I can start from here, what do you call this? Yeah, oh, from here, Paul's doing a different variation. He's doing this one, a side rotational single arm press. It's gonna go, right? So you're gonna go from one side, right? So that's still a chest toss. It's a single arm. Paul has so many different variations. That's the problem. It's like variation 1 here. You're doing number 1. Variation 2, you start using that momentum and putting more pressure into the front leg. Variation 3, you're gonna do step, step, right? Now using more and more and more power every time.
What's the other variation? I see a lot of people do it. They start right here.
Oh, that's a side slam. That's a side slam. We're gonna go over that one next. Yeah.
Not standing side, but where they do an actual shuffle slam.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a side slam.
So okay.
It's a lateral slam. Yeah. We're gonna go down next. So lateral ball slam.
Gotcha.
So that one, we're gonna now start perpendicular to the wall.
Okay.
Right. So we're gonna be here. Or I'm gonna always. There's 2 versions of this. I don't necessarily not one's better than the other, but I want to know which one fits the client better. Right.
Gotcha.
Version number 1 is here. Version number 2 is here. The only difference is that in this variation, I may be able to use both hands more. In this one, I'm gonna use my back hand a lot more, right? So I'm gonna start Travis perpendicular to the wall. I'm gonna have you be in a quarter squat position. I'm gonna have you rotate your shoulders so your shoulders are facing away from the blue wall. And as you're coming in, I'm gonna have you just tap. I should have started with a tap. I'm gonna have you just tap the ball to the wall. That's number 1 variation, just getting them used to that. So nowadays, we're putting people in this variation first before we have them rotate and slam, right? So once we feel comfortable with that, we're gonna take another step back. I'm gonna have you still rotate, but this time you're gonna release. And it's gonna be nice and soft, release, making sure you get it across and you're rotating your whole body. There's no lower back pain and nothing. This one, I'm not really emphasizing the hands so much, right? So I'm just having them come back and forth. I can then start talking about the hands. So now that you're feeling more comfortable with that, we're gonna start trying to pivot the back foot as long as rotating the hands, right? So we're gonna start still rotating, you're gonna pivot your back foot as you spin, and you're gonna release your hands behind you, right? So I'm adding more pressure. And it's coming from the hip first, it's coming from the ankle, hip, and then shoulders and wrist finish, right? Variation number 3, okay, so then from here, we have our side shuffle slam.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna come here, we're gonna come here, step, rotate, slam, right? So we're gonna step back, step, rotate, slam, right? And then we can start teaching different hand positions. So some people do it like this, right? That's a baseball for batting. Some people do it this way, right? But I'm still rotating through the axis of my spine. It just depends on what you're trying to get through,
Absolutely.
right? Let's go over just the basic variation of it. Show me tapping and show me releasing.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start off in a squat formation. We're going to rotate facing the other wall. When you come in, you're going to tap the ball and then come back to a neutral position. So rotating, tap the ball, back to a neutral position. Rotating, tap the ball, back to a neutral position.
Good. One thing that I noticed a lot of times on people when I first teach them is it's not just about rotation, it's also kind of like having a slight tilt on their chest, right? And that's going to help them when they start releasing that ball. It's going to make it a lot easier if they're tilting their chest a little bit more forward rather than staying upright and going like this. A lot of people like to do it like this. I want to have more weight on my shoulders so I can release through my shoulders, right? Like, have you play golf? Okay, take me through a golf swing.
A golf swing?
Just show me it.
Well, it depends on what you're hitting.
Yeah, let's go for a drive.
Okay. So if you're in a... So let's say you have the driver right in front of you. You're going to interlock the pointer finger and your pinky. Wrap those thumbs around. Keep those shoulders down. Keep them tight though. Don't keep them loose. You can't. Keep them tight though. You're going to be in a squat formation. When you rotate, that back foot is going to rotate with you. And when you come through, don't keep your eye off the ball.
So you see how your shoulders are leaning forward?
Yeah.
At the top, when you're rotating, you're straight up, but as you're going through, your shoulders are leaning forward slightly.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing with that. So I relate a lot to golf. I don't play golf. I've never played golf, but I don't really like golf. What? But I related to that. I never really played, so I don't know. I just don't have that time to waste 4 hours of my day to go play golf.
I'm gonna take you on someday.
For sure. I suck really bad though. Top golf, I'm terrible. But all I'm saying is the same thing. If you have somebody straight up, you're never gonna hit the ball like this, right? You want to have a slight leaning on your chest, and I relate it to golf a lot of times. Hey, in golf, like if somebody plays golf, I'll tell them easily that they get into their own head. And golf is like, hey, would you shoot your golf ball like this, or would you shoot your golf ball like this? You wouldn't shoot your golf ball like this because you're not going to touch the ball, right? You have your chest leaning forward, so I want you to think about the same thing as you're driving through. Your chest is going to lean forward so you can put more weight into your legs and your chest rather than your spine, right? Perfect. Okay, so we got both of those. Okay, so then we got kneeling overhead slams. So we start kneeling. So we'll do this variation, right? And we're going to go from up top. I want to shoot down below my chest. Oh, pads?
These things hurt my knees so bad.
Pads?
I'll go home and I'll be like, dude.
Yeah, we have to put a lot of lotion on. So overhead, right? I'm going to have my feet down. I like to have my feet down. Some people might not be able to because they're cramps. They're going to have less balance like this, but they can do this too. I usually coach with my toes down, up, and you're always going to slam it about belly level.
Okay.
Right? So up to belly level. If you slam it too high, you're not really working on flexing your core at the end. You're probably doing too much extension, right? So I want you to go up and crunch down as you release. Right? Crunch down as you release. And this is going to transfer into a half kneeling version. So then we're going to be here, right? And then we're going to go standing. So then we're going to be here, stagger step, lean, and toss forward. Right? Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and try all of those variations.
Wait, how many med balls have y'all broken?
None.
None?
I want to break some. I've been waiting for the day somebody breaks them. I always tell people, that's how I get into try it, is like, I want you to break that med ball. Good, exactly, a little higher. A little higher, you got it. Put more pressure into your toes. There you go, exactly, it's gonna help you release. There you go. That's it, just like that every time. You see how you're crunching down first and then your hands follow? Yeah, so now go into a half kneel. There you go, exactly. So you are gonna, in anything overhead, you're gonna go into a little arch. That should be okay as long as it's not hurting. So I always ask him, hey, how's your back feeling? Lower back okay? Yeah, it's fine. Okay, let's keep going. So they're telling me it's hurting. I'm like, you know what? Don't go that far back. Just keep your ball in front of you. It's gonna take a lot less power out of it. All right, go ahead and stand up and do it.
Side stance.
Yep. There you go, exactly. So you're still trying to take a lot of power and release. Good. One more time. Exactly, good, all right? So there's 3 different variations. If you learn how to do it kneeling, it's a lot easier to do it standing. A lot easier. Okay, so yeah, standing, and then we can also do a step-in variation. So kind of like we talked about with the chest toss, you just go here, right? You're just taking that momentum and making it longer, right? So you're just adding more power into it. That's all it really is.
You come in one day and you see me have a clap. I'm like, all right, sprint right there as fast as you can.
Yeah, baby, let's go. That's perfect. That's what I want to see. Let's go. Okay, rainbow slams. So rainbow slams, yep, exactly. Up, over, and under, right? So what I usually, if people have a hard time understanding it, I'll stop them and I'll have them do, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go up, over, down, tap your leg. Up, over, down, tap your leg. Once they understand that, then it's up, over, down, and just let go of the ball. Up, over, down, let go of the ball. I don't have to think about pivoting yet, so I don't even show at the beginning, right? You're gonna go into a quarter squat as you're going. Once somebody starts getting more proficient at it, that's when I start worrying about the pivoting. So what I want you to do now, Travis, is once you're going over, I want you to pivot your back foot, and you're gonna release, still going into a quarter squat, okay? And then you can start making harder and harder, okay? All right, coach me through it.
All right, from the beginning?
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna start, I'm gonna rotate over, tap the knee, rotate over, tap the knee.
And then we're squatting down, right?
Squatting down.
Yep.
Yes. Bending the knee, squatting down, do a quarter squat, tapping the knee, and then we're gonna move into same thing, but we're gonna release the ball at the end instead of tapping the knee.
Okay.
We're gonna come over.
Perfect.
Release it. Release it. Release it. And then after that, we're going to go into the actual slam part. And we're going to be using rotation as well. So we're going to start rotating.
You're going to pivot your back leg?
Do it.
You're going to pivot your back leg?
Yes, pivot the back leg. And rotating. Pivot, rotate.
There you go, exactly.